Well, I've started looking at the papers with Liz and with Ashok. Let's have a quick look at this. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I guess on this article, I would just say that the grilled chicken question is, they start off with, say, the Prime Minister has been mocked for chickening out of the TV debate. My question is just a simple one. I know there's different opinions. I hear what you're saying, Liz, but it's like, she could just do the debate. And there's no other explanation for me. And I would love to hear what it would be of why you wouldn't do it. There's such a high political liability. She does it. And calling her chicken or weak on this, especially when she's trying to push the strong and stable line, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, because they're trying to kill them dead. Because we did debates in 2010 for the first time ever, and they've never come back since. And I have to say, you see, I know, and for broad, they're very good television. These things are all very good television. I question what they actually achieve.
Yeah, the value of them in getting information across is rather poor. It's excellent entertainment, like the seven-way debate on Monday was excellent. But I think we learnt more about the two front runners last night because it was much. I think David Dimbleby did a really good job, and he had he did the instead of barracking them like other presenters. He was actually played the Columbo. He was like, well, somebody would ask a question, and then the politician wouldn't answer it, and he'd go, well, I'm trying to understand.
Should we look at the front of the Mail now? This is reflecting on last night's TV question time with Theresa May and Jeremy Corbyn both being questioned by the audience. And Jeremy Corbyn's nuclear meltdown is their headline.
Yeah, so I think that there's some of the media is making quite a big deal about. I think he didn't say yes, I will retaliate if we get attacked with a nuclear attack, and they use the example of Iran and North Korea. I think we need to unpack this a little bit. It's like, first of all, the decisions that countries' leaders make aren't necessarily the decisions that people want. I mean, for example, many people in this country didn't support the war in Iraq. Should everyone in the country face consequences for the decisions that the leaders make? So, for example, they use the example of North Korea. So let's say Kim Jong-un attacks this country. God forbid, I'm just using the example that was used last night. A retaliatory action, so many people die here, countless people die here, 1 million people potentially die if you attack Pyongyang. It takes 2 weeks to count to 1 million. That's a lot of people, right? And are those people responsible for the decisions their leaders make? I think that's an important question that we ask. And then I can use another example. Let's say
but the reality with all of this is that if Kim Jong-un is watching and someone is saying, well, I might not retaliate because it might affect the innocent people, that gives him free rein to do what he wants. We may as well not have a deterrent. It's the whole point of having a deterrent is that you're prepared to
sat there and watching it and think, oh, that beardy bloke's lovely. He'll never press the button. I can do whatever I like.
Bad as people, Kim Jong-un. So I don't know if it does act as a deterrent.
Yeah, exactly.
And he wasn't voted in either, which is slightly different.
No, it's terrible. And a better question for anybody in this election, from me, would be knowing what he does to his people, starving them, beating them, torturing them. Life in North Korea is pure living hell. A better question would be, if you were the leader of this country and you could take out that man without killing or harming any of his citizens, would you be prepared to do it?
But the problem with the problem with that is this country has a long history. I mean, 1953, Mohammad Mossadegh, democratically elected leader of Iran, was killed by this country. It destabilized the entire region, and they brought in the Shah. So for me, the idea that you would go in and kill another leader is also kind of. I think it's dangerous territory. We've been here before,
I'm not advocating it, and I don't think anybody in the country or that audience last night would actually want us to go and unleash nuclear hell and all the consequences for people and the planet. Nobody wants that.
No, but it's the case if you've got a deterrent and aren't prepared to use it, then there's no point having a deterrent.
He spent 30 years.
He should just, like I said earlier, they all should just answer the questions. That's the main thing.
Yeah. We're almost out of time. Just have a quick look at this in the Telegraph money section. Looking at tax.
Oh yeah, this is claiming Labour will take tax rates back to the 70s. So we're looking at tax rates of 60-odd percent, 67.5%. The IFS calculated on people earning over £100,000 or £123,000 a year, etc. it's a shocking headline. It's to drag you in because I remember tax rates were 98% at one point in the 70s. I probably don't remember it at the time, but I've interviewed rock stars who the point is, if you tax people too much, you know more about it than me, they just leave. So you had the Stones going living in France, for example. I interviewed one rock star who was on the band's private jet on tour. They said, look, mate, he's rolling on the floor in agony. You've got an appendicitis. You need an appendectomy. And they will take you back. Now we'll land in England. No, if I go to England and I have to spend, more than 2 weeks there in a hospital or whatever, I'll lose 98% of my money. And he'd rather be rolling on the floor facing death than do that.
The thing is, right,
does it work?
There might be a handful of people that leave the country, right? And with Labour's plan, 5% will be affected, 95% won't. But then the question is, there was a study from Stanford University in 2011 that looked at states in the U.S. So you have variable tax rates in the U.S., sales tax rates, income tax rates, not income tax rates, sales tax rates. And they found that there was no positive association between people who between tax rates and mobility. Okay. By and large, there's almost none.
We're out of time. So I just want to ask you very briefly, Ashok, aren't there plenty of studies out there who say flat taxes bring in more tax revenue?
Yeah.
I'd like you to point that isn't, but like sort of a study that was funded by a think tank that has their own sort of perspective on the issue. An independent study that shows that flat tax brings in more tax revenue, I'm yet to find.
Well, in this country, they reduced it to 18%, and the actual takings for the Treasury on corporation tax remained level. So people paid less, but more people paid.
OK. Oh, well, we could talk about tax all day. Make any difference, is it? We've still got to pay it. More coming up for you in just a moment.
Drawn on Diane Abbott's experience.
OK, let's just quickly move on to this in the Times. Video attack on Corbyn. It is fake news.
Yeah, so there's this kind of video that's been circulated by Theresa May's campaign. Labour's responding. Essentially, it's a bunch of clips taken out of context. I don't know if you guys checked this out. And it's sort of like, and he's saying, I'm against. He's on a stage with a few people who are in Sinn Féin, etc. And I think the problem with this it's kind of scare tactics, right? So you can't read back into history. If we were reading back into history, you look at the time, the British state wasn't non-violent in the north of Ireland either. There was a lot of violence from many different directions. The Irish Republicans were often responding to the violence of the state. So it's like, in the context, you have to understand something within its context. At the same time that was happening, Corbyn was being arrested in anti-apartheid protests, and the Tories were calling Nelson Mandela a terrorist. If we rehash those kinds of, a lot of things taken in the current context, read back, it can be obscured. And I think that's what's being done in this. I think sometimes these kinds of tactics do backfire.
So both sides are doing it because, there are videos of Theresa May's. But the parties have really jumped on using YouTube and social media. And it doesn't come under... If they get individuals to make memes or spoof videos or whatever, that doesn't come under election expenditure. So it's like an add-on. It's extra stuff that you're not going to get arrested and locked up for.
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of stuff doing the rounds. I saw something on Instagram yesterday which I thought was quite disturbing. So you've got to be very careful what you believe in all of this. We're going to take a break. We've eaten up all our time, but we're back with more in just a moment.